I guess there's no better place to start than with the browser. And as I'm sure you know, a browser is just a program used to display files and navigate the web. We know that. I use Chrome all the time. On my iPhone I use Safari. These are browsers. And the browser's main functionality is to present a resource that we choose. And it does this by requesting it from the server and displaying it in the browser window. And FYI, this process has to be done super duper quick. Because yes, you and I are very impatient when it comes to Googling, when it comes to loading web pages on the web. And how fast is fast? Well, we're going to get into that later. But for now, just know that Google researchers have suggested that page load times of less than 100 milliseconds. Not that we can achieve this, I'm just saying if we can, that gives us the illusion of instantaneous website responses. Because our visual sensory memory processor inside our brain works in bursts of 100 milliseconds. Anyway, that's just a bit of FYI. So we know the browser's main functionality is to present a resource that we choose to us. But what resources am I talking about? Well, the most obvious one is HTML. Every website that you load has to begin with this file. But there are also other resources we may want to load, like images, PDFs, XML, JSON, CSS, JavaScript, and so on and so forth. But that's all well and good. So we know that we need to get a resource. The next question is, well, where does the browser find this resource? Where does it go? And the answer to this is that the location of the resource is specified by the URI, the Uniform Resource Identifier. Okay, already, you just want to see an example? Well, let's just come up with a fictitious website, mysite.com. And once you enter this URL that you're seeing on the screen into your address line, the browser will break this down into 3 distinct parts. Can you guess what parts they are? Well, you can kind of even guess intuitively what it would be. The first one will be HTTP. And this is the protocol. This is the set of rules that govern how browsers speak to servers. We're going to get into this soon. So that's the first aspect it breaks it down into. Secondly, it breaks down your server's name. This is the site you're wanting to go visit. And in order for your browser to actually connect to the web server, in this case mysite.com, to retrieve the information we've requested, it has to communicate with a name server that translates the server name into an IP address. And the IP address is literally that. It's an address. It's a place where your browser can go and fetch that file from. Your web browser is then able to connect to the web server at the resolved IP address, usually on port 80. So that's the second item. We've got a protocol, we've got the server name, and lastly, we've got the actual resource we want to collect. So once your browser is connected to the web server using the HTTP protocol in this example, the browser will then read the hypertext markup language, that index.html file. And this is the authoring language used to create documents on the World Wide Web. And then, of course, what happens next? The data is displayed to you on the screen. So there you have it, a very, very high-level view of the process your browser goes through in order to serve a file to your web page.